wasn't at practice. I know you were, but seemingly responded with a good day once they got to the second team session. I believe he went 4 for 4 in that one, if memory serves me right from my notes. And like, I've been impressed just with the way this kid has kind of handled the ups and downs and like rode the wave of it. To me, you're seeing glimpses of like the ball placement and things like that. I mean, he did deliver a hospital ball to Malik Benson yesterday. That man would have ended up, concussion protocol, no doubt about it. But again, responded. We didn't see anything like that after the fact.
Yeah, that's the one thing that stands out to me as well is just the way he's able to respond after making a mistake or after a bad play, and
Yeah.
that's what you want out of the quarterback. That's to me that's one of the more important aspects is the mental part of things and being able to bounce back after making a mistake. So I think showcasing that in a small and like in these training camp studies, and like I said, it's still early. It's six
Yeah.
practice in, and Clint Kubiak said himself like it's to be determined on how he really handles adversity because he still has to play on preseason games. He still needs first team reps, and he still has that joint practice at Houston. So if we want to get a true test of like how he handles adversity, I think starting next week we're going to see that. And
Yeah.
going back to the reps, I would love to him starting next week as I'm guessing they're going to be more in game game prep mode next week against the Arizona for their preseason opener against the Arizona Cardinals. I would like to see him in those going against the ones
Yeah.
a little bit more just to see because I think when you want to talk about adversity and be able to handle adversity, let him go against Max Crosby because I think
Yeah.
that right there. If you can get back up after having him attack you in the pocket, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's some good. That's a very good adversity test right there. Let him get some reps against Max.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
seen Kirk have to manage that and make some moves in the pocket around Max, in there disrupting things for sure. And so, yeah, I think that would be big for him. I'm also, too, as you were talking, I was thinking the practice at Allegiant next Tuesday. That's the one I'm really interested to see as
Mm.
well. Maybe if they treat that as like a mock game, kind of what that looks
That's
like. I
what
know coaches,
that's what I'm hoping for, like they did
yeah,
last
coaches in
year.
the past have done that, yeah.
Yeah, and that'll be a good like indicator on like Kirk Cousins versus Fernando Mendoza. And I know the fans are gonna eat it up as well, so
Oh, yeah.
that'd be pretty cool to see for
Yeah, I
sure.
think it would be. Before we move on, TJ, we got anybody in the comments we need to get to anything
Yeah,
today?
I want to give a shout out to everybody up in the chat. I know early
Yeah.
on everybody was wondering where we're at. There was like, oh, is this the Raiders? This must be the Raiders running things. You know how long they've been waiting for for us to go live. But we were dealing with stuff all offline,
Oh, yeah,
man,
with
guys.
the shield on the press conferences.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Spinning
somebody said,
shield,
man, the
yeah.
pause has been between pressers today was crazy, and
Yeah.
it's like this the same type of vibe. But yeah, shout out to Rainy City Raider. He says, I'm hoping Kirk balls out. If I'm honest, and Fernando can sit the season, sponging up all the knowledge from him and learning the playbook back to front. And I think that's the same type of vibe we've been on. I've been on that same type of vibe because I'm totally fine with it because at least we'd rather put him out there when he's ready and like 100% ready than just throw him out to
Yeah.
the wolves. And exactly what we said in the last show, like that's the main reason why we brought in Kirk Cousins for this whole situation. But I
Yeah.
mean, I know you guys are on the same page as well.
When like, yeah, if he sits, like that means things are very likely going well for this team. Like kind of like we
Exactly.
talked about last week. So like I think it's that weird thing again. Like you want to see the kid because you want to see the future of the franchise, but the longer he waits, the better your season's probably going. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a tough one for a lot of fans, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's great. Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
I was saying in the perfect like this for this organization in a perfect world, Mendoza doesn't see the field because
Yeah.
Yep.
if he
Yep.
doesn't see the field for 17 games, that means there's one thing happening. The offense is rolling, Kirk Cousins is playing some good football, and the Raiders are most likely competing for a playoff spot
Yeah.
because so
Or a
it
first
like
round
it
bye. You never know.
yeah, so like it's like I look at it like this where if it could be viewed if depending on what type of season you're hoping
Yep.
for this organization, him not playing could be viewed as a good thing because like I said,
Yeah.
that means
Yeah.
they're having success. If
Yeah.
if he's in, that means either Kirk Cousins is not playing well, the team is injuries. You hope that you don't wish down on anybody, but like it's part of the game. Or that off like they realize that hey, we are still a year or two away from actually being a real like playoff
Yeah.
contender. Let's see what we got in Mendoza, which I think that's going to probably be. I think the latter is probably going to be the best case scenario for the Raiders. That's why I said 7 to 8 games is most likely the benchmark for Cousins the amount of starts Cousins will have. But yeah, if Mendoza spends the whole season as like watching Kirk Cousins play out and learn as much from him for the Raiders, that's a blessing for them because they're winning games and they are allowed to continue to develop their future face of the franchise behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. No, definitely.
Shout out to Machiavelli real quick. He says, salute to the Oos, Jesse, Ryan, love the show. Appreciate it, Oos. And shout out to Raiders Resistance up in the chat as well. And then last question before we move on. I know you guys probably know more about this than I do, but they asked, how's Zoom been playing at right tackle? I know he's been all over the offensive line. So, I mean, you guys probably see more of that. But how do you guys feel like he looked?
So I'll go first on this, Ryan, just because I was watching the one-on-ones. I had to dip out from practice a little early, so I know you got to watch a lot of team and things like that as the day went on. So I'd love your thoughts on what he looked like in team. But in one-on-ones, honestly, working at right tackle, I was impressed. I thought he played really well. He matched up against Kieran Crawford a couple times, and Kieran even had a slow start in one-on-ones. He got stood up by, I believe it was Dalton Wagner, if I remember right. And then he started putting some moves on guys. And then Trey Zune was out there, was able to kind of keep up with him in terms of the speed around the edge and stuff when Kieran was trying to run around him. So it looked really solid there. It showed some really good anchor on the edge as well as guys were even trying to bull rush him at times. And I think that's good for a guy who's a little undersized as a tackle, which is part of the reason why people were talking about him moving into guard or center and things like that. So I was impressed with that. In the team sessions, Ryan, what have you seen from him thus far?
Yeah, I think he's looked solid at right tackle. You've seen him move around a lot. Where I think today was the most work he's gotten at right tackle with the twos, and it's interesting how they use them. It'll be a situation where, in the start camp, he'll be at right guard with the twos and center with the threes, or they will alternate. He's at center with the twos and right guard with the threes. And these last two practices, they're seeing a lot more of him getting those tackle spots. Now the Raiders, they view him more as an interior lineman, whether that's a center or at guard, because they feel like his size will create a little bit more better mismatches as the interior compared to at offensive tackle. But he's had a ton of reps in college playing that tackle spot, which is why they're in a situation where if you do need an emergency tackle in game, they feel like Zoom can be able to step up if needed. And with that said, you talk about you've seen they want a lot of versatility, especially in that line, because not only Trey Zune has been moving around, Jordan Meredith as well. He's you've seen him get center snaps, guard snaps. I think this year you're going to see him, if he's out there, you're going to see him play a little bit more at guard than it was at center. That's where they like him. That's where they like him at the best. But yeah, overall, you see how Trey Zune, his value is going to be very important because he can really be a big chess piece on that offensive line.
Talk about guys like rookies sitting. I mean, if we don't see Trey Zune all year and he's just a backup at every position along the offensive line, I think that's a major win for them, to be honest. He can be your guy that can fill in if and when injuries, fill in for him there. Obviously, he's going to have a shot to compete, but he could be that dude that could slide all around. TJ, I know someone down there had said that they heard he was taking a lot of the snaps at center. That was mostly center, when he was working with the second team as the center and kind of moving around and whatnot. Then he would move to guard with the third team. Right, Ryan? That's what it was. Try to mix those two up. He was taking a lot of center snaps. So we got to make sure we clarify that was with the twos and threes. Nobody's taking snaps away from Linderbaum. I don't want anybody to get that confused.
No. Clear it up. So a lot of Zoom snaps. Looking at my notes, a lot of Zoom snaps at center are either with the twos and the threes, and what they do